Hey everyone, what's up? It's David from Lim Power here. Welcome to another episode of Invest Power series. I want to talk about some mentality stuff today because I personally is very big and would love to, in particular, the personal growth side of things. I think is very important for everyone. So I want to start today about talking on procrastination. How can you overcome procrastination? I think that's a very important concept, and I thought it would be good for us to dwell on that topic first, because whether in life or investing in all sorts of aspects, procrastination can stop you from moving forward, and that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to stop moving forward just because of excuses or fear or any other reasons that you may have that you can think of. So I thought I want to touch on a bit about procrastination and give you guys my 3 tips on how you can overcome procrastination. So overcoming procrastination, number 1, find out your why. W-H-Y. Why are you doing this? So I think a very big question that you got to ask yourself before doing anything is, why are you doing it? And they always say, if the why is strong enough, then the how will show itself. So that goes to show how important why is in the overall situation. And I'll give you guys some example here. Look, if I think about my property investing journey, the reason that I want to be able to invest in property is because I want to be able to accumulate long-term wealth. Why do I want to accumulate long-term wealth? Because I want to have freedom. I want to have options so that I don't have to be working in a 9-to-5 job 5 days in a week. I want to be able to have the option to be able to do things that I like on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day, at the time I wanted, at the time I needed, rather than being forced into going into work. And I know it's not going to be a short-term thing. That's why I said, okay, well, I got to start investing early so that in the longer term, I can then reap the rewards from that investing. So that was the main drive, is for me to be able to build that wealth so that one day I do not have to be in the 9-to-5. And that was the biggest reason on why I went so aggressive, accumulating from 2 properties to 7 properties in a shorter period of time, because my why is very strong. I want to be able to quit my job and as soon as I can, and I want to be able to achieve that freedom. So that was what's driving me when I was aggressively accumulating, and that's why, because that why was so strong, so I managed to find out the how. I managed to get the team around me, and then I managed to educate myself in order to know what sort of properties I should be investing, what's going to help me achieve my financial freedom, and what type of assets, etc, etc, etc. But it all comes back to why. Why are you doing this? A lot of times, look, I work with all sorts of clients, and I can clearly tell if their why is strong enough or not. If their why is not strong enough, most of the time they're actually not going to do anything, and that's why procrastination would come in at that point. So just to give you another example, for like a mum and dad couple, sometimes they want to be able to invest in properties because they want to build some wealth for their kids, and that is perfectly fine. And they're driven because they know this is going to be a long-term thing for their kids. So, they want to be able to buy that property so that later on they can gift the property to them, or, even as they grow up, they want to push them into investing early, like what my dad has actually done to me early as well. So, there's a lot of reason on why, and if that is strong enough, then basically you'll overcome any obstacles that's on the way. So, I thought it's very important to work out if you're starting to procrastinate. That's because you're going to have to step back and think about your why again. Why are you doing this? I want to be able to create some wealth. I want to be able to retire from my 9-to-5, or any other reason that you might have. So that's number 1 tip for you. Tip number 2 on overcoming procrastination: don't overcomplicate things. So in other words, simplify things. Life is meant to be simple, but I think a lot of times we just overcomplicate things ourselves, and that's in a lot of aspects. And let me give you an example. Can you see the picture that's behind us? If I, for example, look at very, very minor details, I could go as close up as possible, and then look at, the number of layers that's in there. But a lot of times, because that we keep on focusing on these minor details, like a specific dot or even something within the picture, we lose the whole thing. So that's why it's important for us to be able to step back, to be able to step back and look at the overall picture of where you're trying to head into. Is that matter, that little dot in the middle, really going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things? And I know, I used to be a person that's very, very detailed, and I would just drill down to that specific and go very specific about that issue. But then I have to lift myself up. I have to step back and step back again to say, what is the overall grand scheme of things, what I'm trying to achieve here? Rather than just concentrating on that little point, learn how to actually step back and go, okay, well, here's my overall picture. How can I make it? Does that matter? Does that dot actually matter in my grand scheme of things? And when I ask myself that, I will actually go, actually it's not. And if I give you a property analogy, let's say, for example, you can drown yourself into spreadsheets. You can drown yourself into the type of properties that you want to buy. You can drown yourself into where to buy, what to buy, what's required to buy and all that stuff. So, there's so many things that's going to stop you from being able to acquire a property. And to that extent, I've seen too many cases where people just got stuck in one detail and then they just stop moving forward from there. Don't overcomplicate things. And I know I've spoken a lot, I've given everyone a lot of tips about, value add, the strategy, type of questions to ask. In all reality, I'm trying to guide at the main direction, at the key direction, so that, as long as you follow in the right direction and not go off buying, say, for example, off the plan, then I'm fine with it. Things will grow over long term. So, if you think of it like that, it's a long-term view and not just concentrating on the short-term view or, a specific problem, and simplify it. Don't overcomplicate yourself. Just take a deep breath and then be able to go, right, that's what I need to achieve. Now, here's a property that I need to select. It's not going to be perfect, but it's already ticked about 67% of my criteria. Then that's good enough. Simply start moving forward from that point onwards. Otherwise, you'll find yourself keep on stuck in a loop over and over and over again. And that's basically another main reason why people procrastinate, just because they've been circling around and not going anywhere. So next time, if you're finding yourself starting to circle around, make sure that you actually, step back, just so that you can actually understand, okay, what is the big picture that I'm trying to achieve? And also, is this decision going to matter in the grand scheme of things? So that's tip number 2 for you.